Hey, what's going on, guys? How the hell are you? It is Wednesday. Meet the experts. Holy hell in a handbasket. You gotta love technology and all these crazy ass changes and things. Trying to keep up with it and everything, but we are live on 5 different channels: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere else you can find us. So come pop in, say hi, and everybody meet Mr. Steve Warner. Nice gum, dude. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
So tell everybody who the hell you are, brother. Why I get this?
Hey, what's going on? My name's Steve Werner. I am a monetization and growth expert for small companies. I help them primarily through public speaking, live events, webinars, and I also help them focus on not competing on price. I found that is the biggest thing that stops people from being successful is they're constantly trying to lower their price or do things cheaper instead of bring more people in and find the right people to work with.
That's awesome, dude. And Steve's going to be one of the speakers at our upcoming Badass Business Summit that is scheduled to happen in September of this year. And everything looks to be heading great and going strong into that direction. So, Steve, I want to talk a lot about today, a lot about pricing, especially given the market we're currently in and the strategies and things that people can do. I definitely want to pick your brain about what you're doing online right now to keep your business scaling and growing. So, and if you guys got questions, feel free to lob them at us. So we can have all kinds of different and crazy conversations going on. So first and foremost, what are we going through right now impacting your business personally, Steve?
So, I mean, I'll be real honest. Most of my clients came from public speaking. I taught people how to do live events. I went and spoke at a lot of live events. So when all this started happening, I think I had 8 or 9 events in the pipeline that have either been canceled or rescheduled. And then my clients, one of the things I do for my high-end clients is I help them hold live events. So I had 5 of them who, one of them literally, like, it was, and I'm looking at my calendar, it was the last week in March. And I was looking at it and we had the plane tickets booked. We had this event space. And I had to make the call. Like, I had my bags packed and I just said, it was in Boston. And it was right about the time Boston was really starting to show. I think they had just broke like 800 cases. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to go. And I called the guy that I was working with and he said, I've been on the fence as well. He was at the hotel and he said, I'm canceling it. He was like, I don't feel good about having it. And he actually, the hotel, when he went to tell the hotel said, hey, you slipped through the cracks. We were canceling everything last week. So that's, I mean, you can relate to that a little.
Yeah, totally. I had that pretty much the same conversation. We were about 3 weeks out from the event, but the city came to us and said, hey, we're making the call on this, which I respect. I get all through all this. As a business owner, you hate when anything happens. I mean, anybody who's put on events know how much capital you've laid out to make those happen. But with everything, you figure it out, you juke, you move, you add some new things in, and some badassery happens. So it's always about keeping one foot moving in front of the other.
So the biggest thing that I've done outside of, so all that happened, right? And I literally took like a week and I was just thinking about it. I thought, well, how would I really want people to respond? Because one of my biggest pillars that I try to teach people is be authentic, be who you are, and treat people how you'd want to be treated. Because, I mean, in today's marketing landscape, you see everything. You see the people who do everything for free because they want to give so much value, but then they burn out and they don't make any money, all the way to the people who are complete scam artists, right?
Right.
It's like, how do you treat somebody ethically and treat somebody how you'd want to be treated, especially with all this going on? So I looked at it and I took all the sales messaging out of my stuff. I made the call to do that. I know that's some people are still saying there's a lot of sales going on right now. And I started just like trying to serve people. So people on my list, I started sending, here's a gratitude journal that I made for free that you can use. Here's a daily meditation that you can do to lower some of your anxiety. Just try to get people out of a negative fear-based headset you know? And then if they wanted to buy something, I made a few offers. I tried to find some JV offers. I have a lot of contacts throughout, I don't know, probably every industry I can think of. And I tried to find a few JV offers that would really help people. Not necessarily that I made money from or that people were making lots of money from, but things that would help. One of the ones that I found was a financial planner that I had worked with, had a way to access funds that were in your 401k with no penalties. You couldn't take all of it, but you could get a little bit of money. I know there were a lot of fear about money, oh my goodness, I lost my job, or, I've been furloughed. This was before the government came out with any of their loans. So we got that offer out to people. I also just did a live event a lot like this, put him on and said, hey, talk to people. I got a doctor friend of mine to talk about some of the stuff that was going on with him and like how this virus really looks. Because when this was first starting to happen, there were so many questions, and all the news sources out there. I said, well, who can I bring to the table that would provide some value for people? So just really started looking at that. And then the coaching clients that I had, I sat down with and I said, well, let's look at your business specifically and see how you can serve people. And if this is the wrong time for you to be selling people, the worst thing you can do is try to sell somebody something when it's obvious that it's not the right fit, right?
Yeah.
If you're just trying to make some money, you're going to turn your entire audience off and they're going to run away, and then you're not going to have them. The way that I see my business moving forward and what I've been recommending to my clients is serve people the best you can right now, because this is a huge opportunity for growth.
Yes.
There are a lot of people exiting the market completely, right? They're like just falling apart. They don't know what to do. They don't have the budget. One of the quotes that I heard was a Warren Buffett quote, but a lot of people have been toting it. A lot of people were swimming naked, and now that the tide's going out, you're finding out who has a real business, who understands how business works, and who has a cash flow in the bank to withstand it. I mean, sure, we're all probably like losing some cash flow right now, but the people that were 2 weeks from being out of business, or they were living client to client or paycheck to paycheck, they're struggling a lot right now. So in the marketing space, in what we do, there's going to be a lot of room for growth. And I don't see the growth coming as sales right now. I see the growth as, how can I serve people? How can I be authentic with people? How can I show my true nature and build a relationship?
Well, so, I love this whole thought there, but when we push back a little bit, because the one thing, and you're not saying this, so is I don't want people to think they can't sell in this climate, right? And you're not saying don't sell. But what I do absolutely know is because we pivoted and literally launched in a new product line.
Right. That was awesome. Like when I was talking to you about it, I was like, that was awesome. Like, and it fit what you do, right?
Right. Fit the brand, fit the message. So I think a lot of this is getting creative as fuck. It's about, being fluid enough that you can do something at this moment to add value to people's lives. For us, like these networking groups, it gives people a chance to still try and work and grow their business. And as Stacy McGovern, who runs one of our groups, said it earlier, she was like, the people that duke it out in this moment, that get after it, continue to build a business, are going to be fine on the backside of this thing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a cool opportunity to get really creative. I think also one of the coolest things this showed is how many holes people had in their business, right? How many people weren't truly set up to have an online business at this point. We even were affected by a majority of my clientele were online, but I still, like you, I'm paid to get on stages and, all those type of things. So it was, and Stacy just said on LinkedIn, people are so much easier to get into conversations right now.
Absolutely.
They have nothing going on. They're still running businesses, they're still doing jobs, whatever, but they're at home in front of their computer, and they're just out of their element. So cold calling right now would be killer.
Actually works.
Yeah. Getting to people. So I just encourage you guys to get fluid, get flexible, and go louder at this point.
I mean, I made 3 offers. I like looked at everything I did and I said, what offers can I make? For a higher ticket, I can help people build a webinar and a challenge. I can help people build something that gives value in their group if they have some kind of group. So I've helped 2 people build challenges during this time. And I help them both monetize it through webinar at the end. So do a free challenge. Workout challenges. If you're anywhere on Facebook right now, you're seeing them. But I helped a guy who.
Hey, the COVID weight gain is a real freaking thing, dude.
Yep. COVID-15, right?
Yes. The COVID-15. That's it. Yep.
Instead of sitting at home gaining the COVID-15, lose the COVID-15, right? But they're getting creative and doing things. 2 months ago, you could send an offer out to your list that was, hey, buy my thing, it's awesome. And if it didn't resonate, people maybe didn't get pissed off, but they didn't buy. A few people bought. Now, if you just go through and like pound out offers, I feel you have to be really targeted, and it's showing who's good at marketing, right? Who's good at finding the product to market match and giving something. I mean, you did that right away, and you did it really well.
Thanks for that.
And but there are some people out there. I mean, there was a sporting goods store here that I can't remember the name of it. I'm not from Phoenix, but for those of you who don't know how I work, I travel around. I usually do a month to 6 weeks in a location. I do a lot of meetups. I do a lot of public speaking, and then I move to a new location. So I was in Phoenix when this started happening, and I've been here ever since. Now I'm extending my stay here. But there was a sporting goods store here that decided they were going to say that they were an essential business because of being a sporting goods store. And then they added 50% to their pricing. They immediately got trapped.
People piss me off.
Right. Like, I'm like, why? Like, what are you doing? They're going to be the ones. That's like the perfect example of the business that's not going to recover well, because nobody's going to forget that.
Right.
But in contrast to that, there's a bar next door to me that started doing takeout food, right? Like everybody. And they said, we're going to give you a free roll of toilet paper, and we're going to give you a free mask with every purchase. Well, what do you think happened to their sales?
That is a brilliant marketing. Well done on their part.
Right. Like I've used those 2 examples, and those are examples that are right in my backyard. But you can see how that makes sense. So if you're thinking about your business, stop being negative if you are, because it's really easy to get caught up in that. How are we going to come out of this? Oh my goodness, is this going to go for 6 months, 8 months, 2 years? There are huge opportunities. And just like you said, Donnie, this exposed all the holes and cracks, and it's giving so much opportunity. Maybe not for massive cash flow right now. I mean, maybe it depends on what your market is, but down the road, once you build a little bit, and if you're really creative about thinking, there are huge opportunities in ways to actually really serve somebody. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, my heart is always in serving people, but you can do that and get paid. I think you should do both.
No, nice. Tell your wife or girlfriend thank you for showing how real life is. So hey, last week we had a little girl in nothing but a diaper go by the screen. So we're just going to keep up this trend of this is real life. Hello, Tabitha. I see you over on LinkedIn. So it's never wrong to do the right thing. Well said, Adam. I see that, brother. And that's the thing right now is I think networking being a huge land grab opportunity, and Gary Vee kind of statement. It's a moment where if what you kind of said earlier, your true colors come out. I love that whole phrase, everybody's swimming naked, because it's one of those. Literally, you're going to see what everybody's done with their businesses. Are they full of shit? Are they, genuine? Have done? I'm most excited to watch these Instagram millionaires go away.
Right.
All those accounts and things. But, in addition to that, I mean, how does somebody price out? I mean, since that's really one of your strengths, I mean, how do you price out some of these new strategies and things? That was something even we went through as we were coming up with the new networking groups, is how do we set this up to really hit a price point that people can validate when they're really pinching pennies, and put it out there?
That is one of the biggest challenges. And before this happened, my philosophy was always there's a top 10 to 15% of the marketplace. And if you serve them better than anybody else, then you can charge more than anybody else. And when this first started happening, I looked at that. And my business model is, give away a lot of free content, right? Give out blog posts, give out podcasts, give out whatever I can. And then the people that come in, there's not a real big, I have a low ticket item, which is a book. And then I have a high ticket item, which is 10K. And then I have an ultra high ticket that's 50K. That's my pricing structure.
Right.
And I said, well, I guess I can change that a little bit for what's going on. So what I did was I put out some content and I said, if you guys are interested, if you have a group, if you have something that you're doing and you're trying to figure out how to run a challenge, I'll show you how to run a free challenge. I did a 1-hour post about that. And then the people who had the most questions, I reached out to and I said, hey, I don't want to be insensitive. If this is a good fit and you want to know how to monetize this, I can help you with your presentations. I can help you do some things. And I put out, and I said, normally I would charge about $10,000 for this. I'm willing to work with you on price. You tell me what it's worth to you. And that, it wasn't a huge bunch of people, right? It was like less than 15. I think it was 12 or 13 people, but it got me 3 customers.
Right.
And it was that they named their price. They were really appreciative. Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm not saying that will work for everybody, but I looked at what would work for me and how I would want to be treated in that situation. And of course, if they came back and told me $500, I'm going to say, I really appreciate that, but at this time I can't.
I think you got to have a comfortable range, right?
Yeah. But most of them came back at between 3 and 5K, which is, I was like, you know what? I'm happy to work with you for that. And they were all thrilled. Like, oh my God, thank you so much for doing this. This really helped me. And the one guy just did his webinar. His challenge ended Sunday. He did his webinar, making 10K off of it. It wasn't a huge, we've seen obviously launches way bigger than that, but this is some guy that was just getting started, a small Facebook group of like 200 people. He's just and he lost his job. So he's seeing this as bonus income.
Yeah, that's a big
covering. Yeah. So.
You and I have the same philosophy about giving content away. I'm just under the belief that it's already out there. So I might as well, I have not created anything that's new, maybe a twist and a spin on a few couple ideas, but it's already out there. So give it away. There's a lot of people that have this mindset. If I give it all away, then nobody will pay me for my services. My philosophy is the people that want to take it and run, those are the DIYers. I don't want them anyways because they're a pain in the ass freaking client, right? Yep. Not somebody to do it. Is that kind of your philosophy as well behind it all?
100%. So there's the DIY people, if they become your client somehow, they're going to be the ones with all the questions. They're going to be the ones that are crawling up your ass like, oh my goodness, what if we did this way? Oh, I don't want to do what you're telling me to do. What really happens, though, when you put out a bunch of free content, you're positioning yourself as the expert because you're getting really loud and you're showing all the different facets of something. And the people that you and I want, which are the people that are paying us $10,000, $25,000, $50,000, are the people who have the money but not the time. And they want you to do it.
Right.
Here, I'm going to give you this check. I don't care. I just want the result. And I think that where that separates us is we get results for people, right? I helped somebody hold an event. We held it last March. So a year ago, we cleared $780,000 at their live event. We held their second live event in September and we did 1.8 million. Like those people, they don't care what they wrote the check to me for. And they don't micromanage. They're not like coming in and nitpicking all the stuff I'm doing. They just want the result, right? And those are the ideal clients. Here's the money.
Yeah.
Go do it. Go help me. The people, this is what I always tell people with pricing. If you have somebody who pays you a lower price for your coaching, consulting, whatever, the lower the price, the more questions and the more pain in the ass it would be. The people who pay a big number, they are successful enough to have gotten to that stage. They implement, they ask smart questions, and they don't waste time, which is exactly what you want.
Well, it's because they've gotten to a point in their life where they realize that their time is worth X amount of dollars.
Yep.
And it's the old Henry Ford model of, I'm just going to surround myself with people that are 10 times more smart than I am. And the way I always say is I want to find the person that completely geeks out on what I need help with. Like, this is their passion to do whatever it is. And I'll pay a lot of money for that particular person. Kevin, don't hit me anything like that. Because Kevin said I'm definitely not one of his DIY clients. I'm like, fucking just make it work. That's 100%. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Sharon Folk. Sharon Folks, who got introduced Steve and I together. So,
hey, what's up, Sharon?
Thanks for that marketing strategy. Perfect process. I always say that. So, it's just a really, really, cool thought process in the world and space right now. I mean, people aren't wrapping their head around the things that they can be doing, how they price themselves, how they go to market, how they literally, position themselves at this moment. The ones who don't want to spend money also don't value your time and knowledge. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Well said.
I mean, we can all think of somebody that we helped for free, right? I've had friends, college friends, high school friends that reach out through Facebook. Oh my God, how do you do what you do? And when I first got started, I spent hours coaching, helping. Did they ever do anything? Nope, because they aren't invested. And if they aren't invested, they won't take action.
That's so funny. I had a gal I've been talking to a lot of people about the networking groups, and she looked at me and she said, Donnie, every networking group I attend is free. Why would I pay for one? I said, that's a great question. How many referrals are you getting out of all these free groups? She goes, well, I really don't get any. I said, well, that may be your answer.
Free people that go to a free group. I will tell you. So my personal story with that, when I first got started in this, it was 6 years ago. I went to a Dan Kennedy event. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I know Dan. Yeah.
Okay, so I went to a Dan Kennedy event, and I was new to this. I was the struggling guy. I've been in it for a couple months, and he pitched at the time. It was $18,000. I thought, oh, who spends $18,000? Well, so I joined his lower tier program, which was I think $4 or $5,000. I was in it for 6 months, and I made $40,000 in sales out of that group, and like the light bulb went on over my head. So I went and joined his expensive group. Then I went and joined Frank Kern's expensive group. Then I went and joined Joe Polish's expensive group. And what I found is it's like if you're fishing, imagine going to the cheapest, easiest to get to fishing pond where everybody is and where the fish are all this big because everybody that's quality has been taken out.
Yeah.
But then there's this fishing hole that's up there and you have to drive a ways and you have to go through some shit to get there. But you get there and there's very few fishermen and there's a whole bunch of really good fish who want to be caught, right? Yeah. They want your help. I mean, right now I'm in 3 masterminds. The cheapest one is 20. And I've gotten more business out of those because people who are successful, they have a business that is making money. Most of the people, if you're spending $100K to be in a mastermind, your business is doing over $1 million a year, most likely.
Right.
Those people are my ideal clients. They have a sales course online, they have a presence, and they may have a live event, but probably not yet. They're my perfect clients because I can take them and say, hey, we're going to do a live event. You have XXX. Let's get this rolling. And that's it. It changed my life when I got that. Like, you pay for a group, you're going to get much better quality out of that group.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the whole idea of investing in yourself. I go back to even times when I was a sales guy. When I first started out, I didn't want to pay for networking groups because it came out of my own pocket. I'm like, well, the company should pay for that, which just became a idiotic thought in my own head because, company's never going to do the marketing right for an individual salesperson. Just never going to happen. So it's the individual salesperson who has to take the ownership of it on themselves to go. And, I started out with all the free things I could get into, but, once you start paying into groups and anything, and that goes into private clubs, private memberships, anything, you get to people with a different mindset and are willing to invest in themselves, understand outsourcing, they're willing to take bigger risk and bet on you. And it's not do it.
You separate yourself the minute you just brought up private clubs, right? Yep. I was in Dallas, November and December of last year. I went and joined, I think it was called the Commonwealth Collective, maybe. I might be saying that wrong, but it was a private club, $1,500 for a year. I went down. They decided to discount me because I told them I was only going to be there for 2 months. So they gave me $1,000 just by being in that club. When you meet somebody, they know that you paid to be there.
Right.
I got 2 paying customers out of it at $10K a piece. So I had one of my friends tell me, I don't know if I would have spent that money. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to drive down there. I'm going to have lunch 3 or 4 times a week. And I'm going to see who I meet because it's a private club that they all paid to be there. I'm sure I'm going to meet somebody. And sure enough, I did. Like,
yeah, it's playing with the big dogs. I mean, is another way of looking at it. Is you're going big and loud, making some noise, and just getting your brand and message out there through just some higher level networking and strategy. It's just comes down to you're either going to get it or you're not. And until you make a mental shift, it's never going to happen, for you. So if somebody wanted to do like an online summit or something like that, because one of the things I keep telling everybody is right now is a great time to be out teaching. You should be going live. You should be putting out content and teaching. So if somebody wanted to do just like a quick webinar, I mean, just something that they could go out, what are some of the things that they need to be prepared to do to get that webinar right?
Sure. So I can go the technical aspect, or I can go how to do a good presentation. And I'm going to say that all the technical stuff you can find on YouTube really easy. Yep. The number one thing, so I've actually been to help grow my business, I've been going out and watching people do these webinars, and I hit them up afterwards and I give them 3 or 4 key points that they can improve on. And right now, I love that people take action, but man, some of them are so bad in their presenting skills. So, here's the thing, tell stories. You want to tell stories. And if you can't come up with a story out of your own life or out of your own area, come up with a movie story that resonates, that gets your point across. Lead with the story. Here's how you do it. This is a simple formula. Lead with the pain point. Hey, have you guys ever had somebody sell to you when it was completely the wrong time? There was a sporting goods company here that decided they were going to get labeled essential business, and then they doubled their prices and they sent out flyers to everybody trying to make money. How do you think that worked for them? So pain point, story to show the example, and then go through and back that up with proof, right? So if I was using that, I would go online and I would find something somewhere that backed that up as a third-party reference to prove that point, right? That's how you tell something. Don't just try to teach. Most of what you tell should be stories to get light bulbs to go on over people's heads. That's what gets people engaged. Once you get them on a phone call, you can talk to them, but still, you shouldn't, I call it word vomiting. You shouldn't word vomit a bunch of knowledge on people, because what at let's say a level 8, 9, or 10. You're talking to somebody who knows it at a level 1, 2, or 3. If you just spew all your knowledge onto them, it's going to put them to sleep, because it literally overwhelms their brain synapses and they can't process it, and then they tune out. That's right. So instead, tell engaging stories. Even if the story only has 10% to do with the topic, if it's entertaining, people will think you're entertaining. One of the best ones I saw, there's a doctor who's doing coronavirus stuff on YouTube, but he's dressing funny. He's wearing shirts that say fuck fear.
I like him already.
And he did this demonstration with a sponge. He's like, all these people don't understand. Here's a sponge. This sponge is your lungs. You dip it in water, and when you squeeze, you can't squeeze as much out of it because you're getting resistance from the water. That's what pneumonia is. That he backtracks it, right? So he's telling good stories, and he's being entertaining, getting his point across, which is way better than the guys who are super dry.
Yeah, but then you got the people though that are your over the top technicals that everything's got to be perfect, proper time and place. Yeah, you and I are on the same page. I'm like, dude, turn that shit off, put the PowerPoint away, and relax and go have a conversation. But for those planners, how do they turn it off? I mean, how do they?
So this is how I do a Facebook Live. This is a Post-it note.
Oh, good. You've already more prepared than I am.
Turn it so that it is sticky side up. Then write 3 or 4 bullet points. If you cannot fit it in a easy, like use a Sharpie. Because if you use a Sharpie, you can only get 3 or 4 words in 3 bullets. Then that goes, I don't know where my phone is. That goes on the bottom of your phone. And then when you hold it up, you can see the 3 bullets. That's all you have to do.
Pretty neat little trick.
That keeps you looking at the camera, keeps you engaged, and tell stories. Like whatever, if you're really technical and you really want to get technical, I'm going to tell you, you're going to turn off your audience. Let those people tell a story about the technical point. Figure out any kind of good story. Basic story framework is 50% pain and struggle, because that's what gets us in. If you look at any television show or any movie, that's what it leads with, is the pain and the struggle. Then you have the epiphany and the knowledge, which is about 10 to 20%. And then you have the success. That's like a very basic framework for a story.
Go watch The Hero's Journey, guys. If you have not done The Hero's Journey, you just described it perfectly. Well done.
I mean, that's what I teach. I teach everybody how to do that. I have a more complex formula, but figure that story out for the technical bullet, get the light bulb to go on over their heads, and then get them on a phone call, because at that point you can say, okay, how that story relate to your business? Maybe maybe they sell hot tubs and jacuzzis. That conversation is going to be a lot different than somebody who sells business services, right? Figure out, and then you can take your knowledge that you have and tie it specifically to their business. And at that point, you can get really technical with them. That's what I would recommend.
And Gina, I want to know the toaster story. I'm just saying. James says, I like the Craig Valentine method of keeping a speech on tack using a foundational phrase of 10 words or less. So, and that's probably a great approach. I know for me, I've got to do the KISS method. So I've got to keep it as simple as possible, because if I got to remember anything, I'm going to lose it. Right. I'm not a prep guy. I'm put a camera in front of my face, put a mic in front of me, and let's go.
I mean, when I'm on stages, I have several different speeches that I've written, but I know where they're at from 5 bullet points. I do use slides. I know we talked about slides, but my slides are all pictures. Because pictures build emotion with an audience. I figure there's a projector there, I might as well use it. But I always tell people, if you have more than 8 words on a slide, you have too many words. And if you have my slide presentations usually have 100 slides. If you have more than 10 slides with words on them, you're using too many words.
I love it. So I've got my smart asses in the crowd watching live today. And they just got called Rex, which is funny. So those who don't know the story of Rex, I was doing a speech down in San Antonio for a big recycling convention, and I was going through an acronym that I use all the time, and the acronyms relax, and it's a different course all the way through, and I was running like 102 temperature fever on stage, but I was still going to deliver, right? Because that's just who the hell I am. And I totally screwed up my acronym. So I literally misspelt the damn word, and it spelled REX, and totally left out the L and the A and the whole damn thing. And nobody in the fans said a fucking word to me. They just let me keep right on rolling. And then I realized it on stage. I'm like, oh, fuck, I missed 2 words. Why didn't y'all say anything? They're like, it was good information. We were writing shit down. I'm like, well, at least I had you engaged. And then I went back to it. So, yeah, some of my inner circle call me Rex now as kind of a fun nickname.
Nice.
But, if you do screw up, it's a good point to talk about. Fucking just own it. You're human. Life happens, and roll with it. What's some of the dumb shit you've done, in presentations and stages? We've all got them.
Man, I I mean, everyone's lost their place in a presentation, right? I had one where I was building the presentation and I put the wrong picture in, and I got to it and it completely like locked me down. And then I started going into another presentation and I was like, like in your head, you're talking. And like, I know you've been there because once you say things enough, like you kind of know where you're going, right?
You know,
and I'm like, I'm going, that's not this presentation. And then I just stopped and I was like, guys, I'm just going to back up. I don't know what's going on right now.
I swear I'm not smoking a crack pipe, but you know.
Right. I was at I've spoken at churches. It's
I don't get invited to those much.
I'm sorry?
I don't get invited to those much.
I don't normally, sometimes I do. Just if somebody asks me to come speak, I'll go do it. And because I ethics and authenticity are big keywords of mine, I've gotten asked a couple times, but I definitely said fuck a couple times at a church.
Right.
Just like I get worked up on stage sometimes, and I'm pretty excitable. I'll just be like, fuck, man, did you guys get that point? Did you, like, it breaks their state a little bit, and like, you know, you have a pastor in the back of the room that's not real onto that.
Have you ever had a university dean walk out of the room because you were cussing?
No.
Oh, that happened to me. So
I fell off stage.
Nice. I have not done that one. Nice.
I'm like walking back and forth, and for those of you, like, there are things that you want to do on stage as
Probably
far as
that's recorded somewhere.
No, I don't have it. It was a smaller stage, but it was like 2 feet, maybe 3 feet off. Yeah, about 3 feet off the ground. And I hit the edge of it, and they had tape there, but I misjudged it and like just wobbled, and then I like jumped, fell, kind of thing.
Yeah, my one of my other favorite ones is I was giving a speech at a prison, and you know, the situation was, it was an all women's prison, and it was just a weird environment. I'd gone through so many, you know, gates and doors that had slammed, so I was in a little bit of a weird headspace. And when I got to the end of my speech, you know, usually as a speaker, you know, somebody comes up, they shake your hand and everything else. Yeah, I got done with my speech and everybody cheered, and I just walked away. I found some random seat to sit down in, and the gal, the host, through the whole thing, she walked back up with the security guard next to her and goes, can you come back up to the stage? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I can do that, you know. But you know, we all they're loving the F-bombs at church, by the way. No, it's who you are. I mean, and you know, I always tell everybody, once you're emotionally charged in a conversation, you know, it's about to get real. And if you try and stifle that, man, you lose that authenticity.
Well, so going back to what you were saying about people who are really technical or have to have everything perfect, I have two really short stories I'll tell about it. But the first one is like, it's not really a story even. It's just nobody's perfect. And if you come across as too perfect, you're not going to relate to your audience ever. Like what makes, you may have heard this, what makes Superman, Batman, any movie character interesting is that they have a flaw. They have something that is their kryptonite, and that's what makes us interesting and relatable as humans. If you're trying to sell to people by being perfect, you're not going to be able to sell. People buy from you because they believe that you are imperfect in the same ways that they are, but you are able to solve those imperfections. You were able to figure it out, because that instantly says that guy, if fat people that get skinny are the #1 weight loss coaches, because they say, hey, look at me. I used to weigh 350 pounds. I started working out. I figured out what worked for me. Now I weigh 200 pounds and I'm ripped. That person is going to do way better than the person that's like, I was born skinny.
Right.
I don't want to get weight coaching from you. You didn't have my struggle.
You know, and I love the whole, you know, over prepared, overtrained speaker. So oftentimes there's usually one person that gets on stages when you can do a lot of speaking. And you got the guy that, you know, every step is pre-planned, every hand gesture is pre-planned, and you watch the crowd fade away, and you can, you know, within 5 minutes of this over-prepared, you know, because there's this whole idea, and I think it's called blocking, or where you're supposed to be at a certain point of the stage at a certain time and all this stuff. And if you really watch a crowd when somebody's trying to do all this stuff, you'll start seeing the phones come out.
Yep.
If you're online, you're doing this online, with people, you'll start seeing them. They're off reading emails and everything else. It's because you're trying to do everything so damn perfect. So,
Yep. I mean,
go ahead.
a lot of that comes from I work with people on this all the time. The first thing, if somebody comes to me and they say they want to hold a live event, and they haven't spoke online, I make them do 20 days of Facebook Lives, because you get over yourself real fast doing Facebook Lives. And the thing is, everybody's scared. The reason that they over prepare is because they're scared that they're going to be judged.
Yes.
Like, we're all scared that we're going to be judged. I don't care who we are. I mean, I still deal with it, but I deal with it in a different manner, and I deal with it less because it does go away some.
So the first time you went live on Facebook, how'd it go?
I mean, nobody made fun of me, but I was all over the place. I wasn't well thought out. Like, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about blah, 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 blah. If you guys go back on my Facebook profile, you can find it. It's like 3.5 years ago. I just rambled for like 8 minutes about what my day was like.
I love the fact that you said 8 minutes. Mine was about the same, and I was just praying to God nobody would come on. It was one of those, just let me get through this. Let me get through this. Let me get through this.
By the fourth or fifth time you do it, though, you actually see that people like your stuff. People like you, and they're going to give you. They're like, oh man, thank you. So what I tell people is pick one overall topic that you want to share. So if we were talking about overcoming fear, right? Then pick one story about overcoming fear and have one key phrase about overcoming fear that was said by somebody popular. So you have a story, you have a third-party validation of it, and then say what that means to your life. You can do that in 5 minutes. Everyone will find it useful, and it gives you some kind of structure. Don't overplan it. Don't write the whole thing out. Just do it, and that way you have some structure. I think a little bit of structure goes a long way. Just bullet points. That's all you need.
And Gina Chamarco on here says, take an improv class to get over your feeling judged. Gina, I'm going to challenge you to do a freaking improv workshop, webinar, something, because I know that's your world, that's your space. I'm coming. You put it on, I'm there.
I would do that.
Yeah. I think that would be a cool class to take, especially if you figure out how to do it, via Zoom or something like this, and do an improv breakout. Fucking groovy idea right now. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to do all this live stuff and go raw at the moment. Get over it. And even other people are popping in, that would be fun. So there's a business idea for you, Crazy. So, any other tips as far as going live and things that they can do to improve? Because so many people are trying right now.
I mean, the biggest thing is just do it. Like, you're going to have everyone in their head thinks they're going to be judged, they're going to be made fun of, whatever. Just do it. By the time you do 4 or 5 of them, you won't care anymore. And then before you know it, you'll be able to turn on like that. I mean, I think I did, I don't know, 100 or 200 of them. The first year I did them, I was just like, I'm going to learn this because I have to get better at doing this stuff. I have to get better at relating to people. Just do it. Tell a story. I mean, if nothing else, like, pick a good book, right? I'm reading The Alchemist right now for probably the 200th time.
Right.
Like, great book. Tell that story. Read out loud. Like, people right now are looking to be entertained, and they're looking for some kind of distraction from their life. I mean, you could do anything like that. Tell little stories. People would love that. Like, if you can't come up with your own content.
Yeah, but Rachel Pitts is on here, and she's doing a really cool fucking thing that I haven't seen anybody else do. Mm-hmm. She is reading her book online, live. So at like 11 o'clock every day, she's just reading like 11 minutes of her freaking book. And I'm like, fuck, that's brilliant. I need to do that with my book.
So something I was going to say, like, I was kind of trying to make some notes before coming on. If you're looking for something to do right now, I know so many people are like, I have all this free time, but I don't know what to do. Write your book. And the way that you write your book is you do the lives, figure out the outline for your book, do a live for each chapter or each segment of your chapter, and get them transcribed. You can use Otter, you can use Rev, you can use whatever you want to get it transcribed. Get it transcribed, and then you have the outline and you have the stuff there for your book. Go through and start editing it. You've got all the time in the world. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to come out with a book 6 weeks from now, because you've got time. You'll get better at doing Facebook Lives, and you'll have everything that you need.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I love the Otter add Grammarly on the back end, totally clean it up, edit it, take it over to Canva. I love that entire process because it's just a way to really easily repurpose a whole lot of content.
Yep.
So, any last words, any ass words of wisdom? That's what I was saying. That's how you know this shit is real life. Do pics make it easier to focus on teaching mindset during a webinar? Sometimes I do too much teaching. So that's a good question. So do images help with the mindset, focus?
I mean, if you're focusing, I think if you're teaching, this is what I found in my own life and in my students' life that I've worked with. When you're teaching, it's because you're looking for validation of what you are putting out in the universe, right? You want to see the person there get the result, and that's why you teach. People who do sales calls, I do sales calls training. If they're doing sales calls and they're giving everything away on the sales call, it's because they want the validation and they're worried that the person's not going to buy. So they're trying to prove that what they do works by giving everything away. The same thing tends to be true subconsciously on webinars and stage presentations. When people teach too much, they're trying to prove that what they know is valuable by giving it all away. Instead, I would tell you to go back, listen to yourself first off. I make everyone that works with me, I make listen to their speech over and over and over, because that's the way that you cut out all the ums, ahs, does, bleh, right? You get rid of all that and you learn what is engaging and what's not. So I would listen to yourself, but then I would build stories around what you're teaching and let the story do the teaching, and then have the teaching in 1 or 2 sentences that you can put at the end, right? That will clean up your talk a lot and help you stay really focused.
Yeah, one thing that I've done to add in, and I love that, it's brilliant, is I've done a lot of podcast interviews. And the reason I love doing podcast interviews is you've got to be on, right? You're getting grilled with questions, and grilled's the wrong word, but it's the right idea. With questions, over and over and over again. And one of the things that I started doing, and it probably took me about 20 interviews to catch on that I should be doing this, is I started listening to the moment when the host reacted to a story I told, right? This is the whole Chris Rock method. And people don't know, before Chris Rock does a, HBO special, he'll do about 400 comedy clubs perfecting that final routine before he goes on stage. So, and what he's doing is going to these clubs to practice jokes to see what's going to react to it. So I started listening and watching podcast hosts and seeing when they reacted to a different story I said, and I started tweaking how I said certain key moments of stories to get the better reaction. And it's like I got one story when, I decided to go out on my own because of a conversation me and my business partner had. I said it one time, and the host before it, was like, oh, dude, as soon as I said it. The second time I said it, the host didn't react at all. I had to go back and explain why it was a key moment. I'm like, okay, you got to dramatically pause, in between that moment. Yeah. But that comes from experience and doing things over and over and over again.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first got started, I listened to Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar quite a bit because they have very unique speaking styles. But I looked at what got reaction. You can find YouTube videos, and you can there was a guy that was breaking them down for a while. I don't know if he's still around. I can't remember his name. He always wore purple shirts. But he would break them down. And I remember just watching those and then sitting in front of a mirror and doing them. For those of you who don't know my background, I decided I wanted to hold live events. I used to be in charge of hotel F&B, and then I did fine dining, and then I ran big corporate events from the hotel side. I decided to go out on my own and hold events. I held my first event, failed miserably. I joined Dan Kennedy's program. Second event went well. I made $8,000. I thought it was the end of the world. I was like, "Woo! I made $8,000." I told Dan that. Dan Kennedy told me I was an idiot because he was like, you need to be selling them something. I was like, what do I have to sell? He was like, I don't care. He's like, get on stage. You need to speak and you need to sell them something. He's like, I have 300 different courses. Pick one, sell it. I'll give you 50% of it. I didn't know what a JV offer was. This was 2014.
Right.
But that's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm in. And went after it. And it got better at speaking, but I failed. I'm not shy. You can probably tell that, but I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was all over the place, but that's how I got better. Is I literally watched the great people and practiced, broke it down a lot like what you did. And one of the things I love about being on stage is you can see their reaction, right?
Yes.
If you're not on, if you see people falling asleep on stage, I know this probably for another months or a year, right? But if you're on stage and you see people nodding off or on their phone, you need to do something. Stop whatever you're saying and make them laugh, make them cry, make them get out of their chairs. Any kind of reaction.
Fall into swords, my favorite maneuver. My favorite maneuver, if you some reason you lose a crowd, is to stop, pause, and go, wow, I really suck today, right? And you'll watch. They'll all immediately look up, pause, and look at you and go, all right, what do you want to talk about? And then I'll just totally flip the script as quick as possible, right?
Yeah.
It's those dramatic moves that gets them to make a shift. It's only happened to me on one or two stages. 100% my fault for grabbing the wrong audience to be speaking to. Still my fault for saying yes, but you know, it's dramatic moves in short moments.
I mean, I've had those moments. It's not very often, but sometimes it's usually when I start teaching too much or I geek out on something that people can't follow. And I'll just say the same thing. I'll be like, guys, sorry, I went way too deep with that. Let's just bring that back in. Or I'll tell a joke. I'll be like, hey, have you guys heard the joke? Have you heard this joke? This little fish was swimming along, and he hits a wall. What does the fish say?
Damn.
And everyone's like, oh. And I'm like, okay, but anyway, back to but it breaks their state and gets them involved. You do the punchline. I like it.
I got it.
But that's,
but you know, make sure if you're going to use a joke, it's one you know well, right?
Yeah.
I saw a joke on TikTok the other day, and I immediately ran out to my dad. I'm like, dude, hold on, I got a joke for you. And I completely blew it all miserably. It failed horribly, blew the punchline, the whole 9 yards. So, any last tips for anything they can do on live? They're really kind of geeking out on this whole thing that you're doing.
Do a Post-it note the first couple times. Tell a story. I love the reading the book thing. I think that's awesome. If you have a book, do that. If you have a case study, go through a case study. A case study is always really good, but make sure you focus on the pain first. If you haven't watched the Hero's 2 Journeys, there's a whole bunch of stuff online about that. But like study, this is a time that you can really perfect that. It costs nothing. You're at home. You have a camera. Just have fun with it, dude. People right now, this is the other thing that I will say, like people are accessible, right? Cold calling's working. Facebook Live video is working. Any kind of networking stuff is working because people have time. But the other thing is people are really forgiving right now.
Yes.
If you're authentic. Nobody's looking to be like, screw you, dude.
And they're sitting home, their kids are in the background, you know, they're everything. So, you know,
I saw an interview with Bill Gates on CNN. The interviewer was sitting in an apartment that was like trash, like dirty dishes in the background. But they didn't, nobody's like, everybody understands that we're in the middle of something and nobody's looking to be harsh. Everyone has a pretty open, forgiving mindset right now. So this is the time that you can really grab and relate to people and build relationships. And if you focus on that right now, and you can sell them stuff. If what you have fits well, you can sell all day long right now because people still want to buy stuff. They're stuck at home. Amazon's going through the roof, right?
Yep.
All kinds of stuff is selling. But if you build a relationship now, when we get outside of this, it's going to go, like, your business will be there. There's so many people folding up and going away and like just melting down.
Yeah, it's crazy. So guys, come join us at the Badass Business Summit. Steve will be there talking about pricing strategies and how to really get your stuff right on stage. We've got a freaking phenomenal lineup for that. 12 speakers, all badass topics. It's going to be a good time. Go get your tickets for that now. They are on. So it's going to be September 25th through the 27th in Fort Worth, Texas. We should be beyond all this stuff by then and rocking and rolling. So Steve, what's the best way for everybody to get in touch with you?
Honestly, Facebook. Steve Werner. You'll find me, no problem. I'm wearing a shirt pretty similar to this one. I look like me. Hang out with me there. That's the easiest way to find me. StephenPhilipWerner.com is my website. You can find my stuff up there as well. But hit me up on Facebook. I'd love to chat with anybody. I'm pretty accessible.
Nice. And then if you're looking to do some networking online, we have just launched virtual networking groups called Success Champions Networking. We have 12, almost 14 chapters going across the U.S. right now. So we have a chapter probably in your area. Steve, right now I can only see your eyeballs damn near. No, it's good, man. It's good. There you go. But if you're looking for a cool way to network online right now and build some of these relationships, go to DonnieBovine.com/success-champions-networking/ holy hell, we got to get a shorter URL for that. So, and go see it out. And if you're out on Amazon, you're looking for some cool things to read, there's 3 books that I'm a part of. So you have How to Be a Success Champion out on Amazon. You have your recipes for the Busy Badass Cookbook and your High Vibe Business Workbook out there, all on Amazon. Get your asses over and go get those cheap. Steve, you got any books anywhere?
I don't. I have all my books I sell. You can go to liveeventsuccesssecrets.com. That's my book. I usually only give it away in person at events or sell it through the website.
Nice. That's awesome stuff, brother. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Guys, we're going to do this every Wednesday. Meet the experts, talking to all the sponsors and speakers for the Badass Business Summit. So come tune in and hang out with us every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And starting tomorrow at noon Central, we're going to start doing a nooner. We're doing an entire live series called Networking Leaders. We'll be interviewing the leaders of all the new networking chapters we're launching. So that'll be live on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the other platforms. So join us live at noon every day, Monday through Friday, and for Networking Leaders, and then 4 o'clock every Wednesday for Meet the Experts here. So awesome. Thanks for joining us, brother. I really appreciate you. Kick ass and have some fun, would you?
Awesome. All right, man. I'll see you later, Donnie.
Thanks, dude.